Hello. Good afternoon. It's so great to be here again this Saturday, and as always, it's a beautiful Saturday. It's even a royal Saturday at that. You know, when two people are wedding and the whole world is watching. Interesting. So it's time for Mind Your Character with Bosede Olusola-Obasa on Inspiration 92.3 FM. How has your week been? My week has been very interesting. You know, as always, I always hope for the best, and I'm always grateful for life. So most of the time, even when things don't work the way I expected them to, I just keep hopes alive. Interesting. That's why I always ask you to celebrate life, because when you celebrate, what am I trying to sound like? An epic person this afternoon. Okay, when you celebrate life, life becomes all the more worth celebrating for you. I'm so excited. I have a guest in the studio. I'll talk about him later on. And for those who are watching us via Facebook Live, it's all thanks to a colleague of mine, Big Boss Olusola Isade, is the one who ensures that you can hook up with us and then join via live streaming on Facebook what's happening right now. So thank you, Tolu, for doing this. Yeah. Never ever forget that life is a gift and not an entitlement. It's always good to have the privilege mentality about life and not the entitlement mentality, so you can remain grateful. You know, when you think something is your entitlement, you don't even feel like saying thank you for it. But when you know that it's not so much of your entitlement, but people who are worth it more, if there's a word like that, are not even here anymore. So be grateful for life, celebrate life, and then life becomes all the more worth celebrating for you. I welcome you again to the radio show that never ever leaves you the same way. And by that I mean that I always leave you better than I met you. It's a promise. You always part with me at the end of the show better than I met you. And so stay here with me for 30 minutes of a cruise into unforgettable value addition. Right now, I urge you to brace yourself for a time of unlearning as I lead you to reset wrong mindsets. Get ready to learn to become a better version of yourself. Get set to relearn, because when you stop learning, you start dying. My series Tag DNA has been on for a while, and we've been taking it from different angles. The last time I was on radio, we were talking something about, are people corrupt because they are in need or because they lack integrity? Beautiful responses. Great people called in to make their views known. And interestingly, what we'll be talking about today is an offshoot of some of the comments from our callers that day. I heard a lot of people talk about the fact that Mr. Julius Adideji, the policeman who was honored by BBC for not having taken bribe ever since he joined the force, was able to do that because he didn't live in Lagos State. I'm like, you know, and that if he lived in a city like Lagos, so to speak, the pressure would have been too much for him to be able to hold on to his belief, to his values, to his integrity. So I then saw that there was a need for us to talk about that. We tried straightening some things out, yes, on that day, but I felt that we needed a show that would help us get this clearly. So today I'm asking a very, very interesting question. But you know what? I'm not going to go ahead to tell you what it is until I have made this very, 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 very pertinent confession. And that's the fact that I'm still very, very excited about adding value to you. That's what I'm here to do every Saturday. And thank you once again for joining me today. So today we are going to be doing which has a greater effect on your personal values. Is it your choice or your environment? Is it your choice or your environment? Which one is stronger in terms of influencing you? Is it your choice or your environment? But you see, I won't be doing this alone today. I have a guest in the studio, like I mentioned earlier. It's not a guest like that, like it's far, far from. No. He's a friend, he's a colleague, he's a, just name it, Sha. And then he's here to give you some good news. Permit me to welcome Mr. Samuelson Sargent. The general manager is a big man, oh. The general manager, Red Eye Entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay?
Rush
That's
Towers.
the entertainment and talent discovery arm of Rush Towers Limited.
Yeah.
Okay, Red Eye is another brainchild of Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. By now, that name should be ringing a bell. Okay, he's an executive director of Pertinence Limited, but that's another place where he's adding value to people on the entertainment platform. So, you know already that Pertinence is our partner on this show. So, this project belongs to one of the directors of Pertinence Limited. And so, Mr. Saji is here to tell us some things about Red Eye, what's coming up even tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good news. He will tell us about that. Don't be in a hurry, Mr. Saji, to tell us. You are going to first of all act as my co-anchor, and then you go ahead and tell us the goodies that you have. So in the meantime, you will be joining the conversation today. So which has stronger, the word is stronger. Which one has a stronger effect on your values? Is it your choice or your environment? Take the story that I celebrated 2 weeks ago, for instance. And people are like, it's because he lived in a kitty. If he lived in a city like Lagos, he would have succumbed to the pressure of corruption. What do you think?
Good afternoon, listeners.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sargent.
I want to say I'm excited to be on the show today. I want to say a very big thank you to Mrs. Olusola-Obasa.
Enjoy.
She's a mentor.
Thank God I'm not a tormentor. Okay.
All right. The issue of character and environment or choice being the influence. I think it's a matter of choice. It's a matter of choice above environment. It's your choices that now determine what you do, not necessarily the environment. Most times people use the environment as an excuse for getting away with some things that they do that are not right. It's not the environment that determines your character. It's actually your choices that determines your character.
Yeah, thank you. I like to mention here that this is not to say that environment does not have or cannot influence character.
That's true.
But this is to tell you that choice most likely has a stronger impact.
Yes.
I've seen people who were raised in Mushi and they don't look anything Mushi.
Yes.
I talking to you here proudly raised in the barracks, army barracks for proudly, you understand? Wow. But you see, if you meet me, except when I begin to yarn the broken, you understand? You might not have the slightest idea I was raised in the barracks. You can join the conversation, those of you listening to us at home. We appreciate that you're there. Please dial 0700 923 923 923. Let's not give our lives to excuses that just ground them. I believe this thing has to do with your mind. When your mind is set, one of the things we do here is reset mindsets on this show. If you already believe that I woke up and found that my mother and my father gave birth to me in Mushi or in Morocco, of course, that's the old Morocco, okay? And that means that there's a verdict on my life that I can never go beyond this particular quality of life. It's a mind thing.
Yeah.
So which do you think is stronger? For our listeners who are listening right now, you're free to let us know what your views are. Just dial 0700 923 923 923. And then we'll be very, very interested in hearing. This actually is an offshoot of the last show where I heard people saying that it would have given to corruption if he lived in Lagos. Hello. Okay, sorry I lost the call. I'm very, very interested in picking your call, so please do try again. 0700 923 923 923. I have another caller. Hello. Hello, welcome to the show. Oh, Madam Peace, welcome. Now, long time no see, no here. How you doing, ma?
Weekend, though, I the family. I'm fine.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, so what's your take? Which is stronger?
I know that the environment can influence president. Once you make choice, that no matter what you make here, you are going to live it. So you cannot be corrupt. That's it.
Thank you. Choice is actually very powerful. This is not about trying to sweet mouth this topic.
At all.
It's not at all. That's just the truth. The fact that a lot of people have not been able to come to terms with this fact is the reason they are in those dirty things they found themselves today. You have the power of choice. Doesn't it amaze you that even the creator of the world looked at everything someday and told his creature that, look, oh, there's life, there's death. But should I give you an advice? Choose life. It's at your beck and call. You can choose what you want your life to be. I was telling you my story about having grown in the barracks. And my dad was not an officer. He was other ranks. For those of you who know what other ranks are, in fact, he left the army as a lance corporal. No, as a corporal, sorry. Yeah. Let him not go and knock me from where he is. Okay. What do you mean? Okay. So he left the army, 2 ropes. That's what we call it. We say 2 ropes. So but he raised us in that environment that I believe signed up so many other lives for doom. I tell you the truth. You lived within or with people and parents who never cared about how their children were growing. But it never ever stopped us from being raised. Of course, with some what you can call iron hand. You know what iron hand means? Okay. All right. But then we have come out not to. In my book, I said, there's a book I did about myself, and I said, we passed through the barracks, but we did not allow the barrack to pass through us. They are 2 different things. They are 2 different things. It's beautiful when you have gone through any kind of environment, but you have come out what you want to be. Particularly when you're an adult. As an adult, do you come out telling me that, don't blame me, blame my environment? That because I'm a policeman, there's a verdict on every policeman to be corrupt. Because everyone kept saying, a few people kept saying that, oh, if the man was in Lagos, the man is lucky. I heard things like the man is lucky. Let's get this point straight. This is a show that is meant to help you see things the right way. Meant to help you see things with the right perspective. You are in the entertainment world. That is one platform that we have heard seem to have contributed not to positive things to the society. So you tell me some things about how you intend to do it right just after this short break.
These tenants and nuisance, they litter my compound with big cars that have land this, land that in front of their name. But the owners, they no get land. No problem.
Sure?
I will soon throw all of them out. They should go and live in their big cars.
Oh boy, sure you hear wetin the landlord just